Who was your favorite or most influential teacher, and what do you remember them doing?
Yeah, I would have to say it's actually two back to back. I mean, how did I end up in this? I guess we can back up even further. How did I end up going down the path in education, in my educational experience that I did? I had an amazing biology teacher in high school, and then I had an amazing chemistry teacher the next year, and I couldn't decide. I mean, they just made it so much fun to learn about, and I mean, you have to be interested in the topic anyway, right? But they just made that so much fun that my struggle was how do I choose which one of these two things I want to do? Do I want to do biology or do I want to do chemistry? And I majored in biochemistry. This is the best way I can put these two things together. So that, without the two of them, or without one of them, I might have gone in a slightly different direction. But without either of them, I could be a geologist, or I could be, I probably would be in some kind of science. But, I think people, I say this often, especially when I'm interviewing people for graduate school or various things. I think people are scientists when they're kids. I don't think that you become a scientist in high school or in college or even in a graduate program. I think you are already a scientist when you're a kid. And you're doing some kind of experiment. Whether you know that it's an experiment or not, you're doing it. You might look back on your life later and say, you know what, I was doing experiments when I was a kid. I didn't think they were experiments, but they're totally experiments. I think what happens in your formal education is that you figure out a path of what kind of scientist you want to be, and then you get trained in the methods of that particular field. So I think, people who end up as scientists in any field could have very easily been a scientist in a completely different field had they had something happen to them earlier in their career. So it just so happened that I had a good biology and chemistry teacher, and then that set me on that path. Had I had an amazing geology teacher in high school, I could very easily be a geologist right now, right? Yeah, I mean, because I think the work is the same, the job is the same. You're trying to figure out things that people haven't figured out before. It's just what are the actual questions that you're asking about, and what is the field that you're focused on. That happens because of the formal training that you got along the way.